If you suffer from astrophobia and arachnophobia, boy, are you screwed. Here's your look at the new NECA toys, Aliens, Arachnoid Alien. There has been an alien outbreak on Earth due to an experiment gone awry by the United States Colonial Marine Corps and the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The city of San Andreas, California, has been overrun by deadly xenomorphs headed by a corrupt General Bush. The project began with the secretly acquired alien queen facehugger, brought to Earth for study and experimentation. Beginning with this rare asset, Bush's plan was to create an army of bioweapons to be controlled by the U.S. military. But he soon learned that the alien species could not be tamed, and this, a full xenomorph infestation, would be the cost of his mistake. Space and spiders, a deadly double whammy of phobias to have. Before, though, we get a closer look at the Arachnoid Alien, let me first thank the folks over at NECA Toys that provided this sample that we could have a look at in this review. Before we actually get down to looking at the details and features on the Arachnoid Alien, let's first figure out how tall the figures stand. I understand that this is probably not going to be the way that most people are going to have their figure standing on the shelf. You're probably going to likely have them more in a crouched pose, but I have extended out the legs in this case just so you can see just at its fullest length how tall the figure actually can stand. I'm going to take, again, the ruler right to the very top of its head. And again, once you've got those legs straight like this, the figure of the Arachnoid stands at around 9 inches in height, maybe about 9¼ inches, but let's settle at around 9 inches, which works out to be the figure being about 23 or almost 23.5 centimeters tall. If the Arachnoid Alien does look somewhat familiar to you, it's because NECA has re-released this figure along with the Razor Claws Alien and the Chrysalis Alien, all three figures that we have looked at earlier here on this channel. Although the difference now with these newer figures is that NECA have given them a brand new modernized color scheme, and they look a lot nicer than the ones that we got before. This would have been a prime time during this part of the review where I would have slid over the newer Arachnoid Alien and brought in the original one that we looked at earlier here on this channel. Unfortunately, though, I can't do that. About a year or so ago, in the efforts to kind of thin out my collection and free up some available space, because I, of course, continued to collect, I did part ways with the Arachnoid, the Razor Claw, and the Chrysalis Alien. And I did regret it at the time of doing it because I thought those were some of my favorite alien figures that NECA had put out. But then Lady Luck smiled down on me, and we are now getting these re-releases with, like I said, a brand new color scheme. If you guys did want to go back and check out those earlier reviews of the Arachnoid Alien, Razor Claws Alien, and Chrysalis Alien, feel free to check those out at the end of this review. In the meantime, though, let's have a look at the brand new Arachnoid Alien with, like I said, a brand new color scheme, a brand new coat of paint, and looking super sharp. In the accessory department, he doesn't come with much of anything. Pretty much what you're seeing is what you're getting here. No display stands, no additional accessories, which tend to be the case anyways. The MO, when it comes to the alien figures, you're really not going to be getting a lot in the way of accessories. But what you are getting, though, is a really nice looking alien figure. Picking him up and sort of getting him away from this awkward standing straight like this. I know most people are probably going to be bending the legs and getting him in much more of a crouched pose. That's certainly something I'm going to be doing. But before doing that, though, let's start things off with the Arachnoid Alien's head sculpt. Now, the original one, if you would backtrack back to that earlier review that I did before, was sort of more of a lighter blue color. I don't recall it having the kind of sheen that it has in this one, nor the darker undertones that they've washed onto the figure's plastic sculpt. I mean, like that head sculpt, I can remember now why I like the Arachnoid Alien so much. Several people had actually asked me what are my favorite NECA Alien figures, and even though I did part ways with this guy, one of the ones that made pretty high on my list was the Arachnoid Alien. The one thing I do like about the design of this character is that it's a traditional-looking xenomorph. In fact, other than really just looking at the back end of it, you would almost be looking at this and swear you're looking at an alien warrior from the movie Aliens. Other than, again, that departure that what we get on the back is sort of a half and half treatment. The first half of it sort of looks like an alien warrior from Aliens. The back end actually looks a little bit closer to like the big chap from the original Alien movie. One thing I really like about the design of it is it's just slightly changed from a traditional looking alien. So you sort of got these little lip pieces on the sides that kind of curl up, almost looking like he's got horns. But the back end of it, though, that's the thing that really impressed me the most about the original release. And I have to say, just from memory alone, this one's so much vastly improved upon. The back dome here is being used with a clear plastic, so it allows you to really be able to peek inside and sort of see what almost looks like the back of an abdomen of an insect, maybe like a cockroach or a cicada. It's a creepy looking design, but it actually works quite well with this alien. Again, like the front half of it, when you're looking at it like this, if I cover up my hand on the back side of it, it does kind of look like a traditional looking alien warrior, other than the fact it's got these little tiny points that sort of stick out from the bottom of its chin. It's got such a great looking sculpt. Classic, and yet still something very different about it. It does have, like other alien figures, the option to open up its mouth, and it does have the little jaw inside that can actually extend out. This was one of the easier times I had to remove the middle jaw. Sometimes I actually have to go in there with a screwdriver and sort of fish it out. I didn't have that problem at all whatsoever. It really has a really interesting side profile. Again, when you're looking at it from the front, short of really being the horns, the indicator that something is very different about this alien, it's not until, again, you spin it from the side that this half and half treatment works really so well with this particular design. Getting up close, you guys can see the finer features on the side of its face. So intricately sculpted, this particular alien, and it is, and again, I really got to say, like, one thing that works really well with this newer re-release is the darker blues that they went with. This dark, very almost gray-based blue, as well as the additional sheen that they've added over top of it, the darker wash that they've added down below, really helped to enrich a lot of the texturing and the detailing that they put onto the figure's piece, on the actual pieces of the figure. Looking at, like, for example, its arms, every little thing that you're looking at on this figure, and I'm going to do my best to spin this around so you can see it from all the sides available, everything seems to have been just hugged with some additional wash of paint. Again, like, the blue works really, really well with this figure. But I gotta say, like, the star of this show isn't so much just the blue, but it's, again, this darker wash that they put over top of it. It is really the thing that brings these features out. Again, like, it's a more lankier looking alien. But again, when you're looking at it from the front, very much does it read like a regular big chap. It's got very long arms like a traditional alien would have. Hands aren't that much of a departure than your traditional looking alien either. You can see they've gone in and actually painted each one of the fingertips in silver. But again, like, I hate to sound like a broken record, it's that dark wash that really does enrich the experience of looking at the sculpt on this figure. The flutes on the back, the fluted tubes that it has on the back of its torso, are notably a lot shorter than a regular alien. It would probably be about, what, half the length of what a traditional alien warrior would be. And it actually does, again, work to make it look a little bit different than a traditional looking alien. Still has a tail, and in this case, not only the tail is adjustable, but it also does have the wire frame, which is usually the case as well when we're looking at these alien figures. The end of the tail is really not that much different than a traditional looking alien, other than the fact that they just painted in the end of the tail with, again, a nice little additional bit of silver paint. I've noticed with this particular figure, and this is kind of going to be more the territory covering off for the articulation on the figure, I've noticed that this one knee is a little on the looser side. And you guys have certainly helped to tell me that there are products available online where I can go in there and kind of stiffen up the joints. I may want to do this on this particular figure. This knee isn't so bad, but I've noticed on this knee, it's a little on the loose side. Not loose here, but a little loose further up the knee. Again, I'm sure I could probably go in there and fix that up. Regular looking alien feet, again, not that much different than your traditional looking alien. And it does have peg holes in the undersides of his feet, so if you did want to make use of a display stand. I sort of did use a display stand at the beginning of this review. I might continue to do so not only at the end of this review, but also displaying this figure on the shelf. Because again, when it comes to aliens, I don't tend to be that guy that likes to have them just standing straight. I like to kind of put them in a more bent pose like this. And again, if you can use a display stand, if you have one at your disposal, definitely do incorporate one, because I gotta say, like, figures like this, you definitely want to be putting in a more dynamic pose than having them just standing in regular museum pose. That's never really exciting. Going through the articulation now on Arachnoid Alien, we're going to start with my favorite part, once again, the head sculpt. Now, the head is a little harder to see, is actually sitting on a ball joint. Because it gets a ball joint, I'm going to hold the neck just for the time being. You can't actually get a full 360 around the world rotation. Normally, this isn't going to be something that you're going to do on your figures, but for the purpose of this review, I'd like to show you guys the wide range that these figures actually have on their articulation. Yeah, it's going to hit the little side shoulder areas. You're just going to want to get around that. And again, you can rotate the head all the way around. The head, because it is also on a ball joint, does look up, does look down, and you can also mildly hinge it back and forth as well. Technically, I guess the jaw is also something that's articulated, so we'll talk about that as well. The jaw opens and the jaw closes, and while it is open, again, you can pull out that little tiny jaw and extend it And then again, you just pop that back into the jaw, close up shop for now. While I was also holding the neck, the reasoning for that is there is also a hinge joint at the base of the neck. You may or may not be able to see that because it's so dark down there, but it does allow the neck to hinge down. So if you want to have a nice ominous look of the alien looking down on the rest of your collection, freaking out the rest of your figures, you can do that. And on the back of it, normally there would be a fin on the back of the figure's torso that you would have to remove in order to bring the head back. But because of this particular design, the Arachnoid alien doesn't have that extra fin. You can then, without it, still hinge the head up. If, again, you want to have it more in a running pose, I suppose, if you wanted to. As for the arms, due to the sculpting of how much bulk that they've added up here and what little wiggle space there is to work with there, you can't get a full 90-degree angle bend. You can get just a little less than that, just at around sitting, 45 degrees. You can take then the arms, you can rotate them all the way around. It's a little harder, in fact, to actually move things on the figure because you notice like everything on this is slick to the touch. They've added, again, a nice wet finish across the entire surface of the figure. The arms do, again, move forward and back. Now, when it comes to the elbows, there seems to only be a single hinge joint. I don't know if you can actually see it right there. There's a hinge right in the elbow, providing, again, you got it facing the right way. That's one downside, unfortunately, because everything on this figure is so dark, it's making out where the joints are. Elbows, for example, are a good culprit of that. If you start moving the elbow and you feel like there's resistance, just double check and make sure you got the joint facing the right way. In this case, I seem to have it facing the right way. So it seems only to be a single hinge in the elbow, but still, there's also a rotation on the forearm where you can take the arm and rotate it all the way around. And there's also rotation in the hand, which also has, too dark to probably see, a hinge joint right there also in the hand. The upper torso is also on a ball joint, so you can rotate that all the way around. The legs have a very mild slits, only just a straight single hinge there. I mean, they could probably put another extra hinge joint in there just to allow for an extra wider range, for a wider splits on the legs. But really, we're talking about aliens here. These figures don't have to get in super creative poses. As long as you're able to widen the legs like this and then compensate with the knees, I think that's more than enough. As for the knees, though, there's a rotation at the top of the knee. And then there is a double hinge on the knee right there. One there, and then there's a hinge down below further as well. When it comes to the feet, now the feet are on hinges where you can bring the feet back and forth this way. And there's also toe articulation. Unless this figure has super tight joints, which I don't think is the case, it doesn't seem like you can actually tilt it. You can't tilt like the ankles, for example. Well, at least he does have the wireframe tail. So if you do have some difficulty getting your Arachnoid alien to stand properly, you can always use that back tail, which I've usually used for when it comes to displaying my figure, sort of using it as kind of a tripod stand. It certainly helps to keep the figure balanced upright, and then it means you can at least bend the knees, so you don't have to have the figure standing straight with completely straight legs. Again, not the most exciting way to pose the figure. It's not something I like to do. I like to usually bend the figure at the knees. Again, like this figure, I've got a little bit of a looseness there on the one side of the knee, but I think that's something I can fix. I'm just so glad. I really did regret parting ways with this alien, the Razor Claws alien, and the Chrysalis alien. I'm really glad that NECA Toys did re-release these figures, and not just simply, again, taking those figures, putting them back in brand new packaging and shipping off to stores. No, they gave them a brand new, updated, modernized paint job. And I gotta say, Arachnoid alien, I can see now why I liked this figure so much. And I can see why now I was so disappointed when I parted ways with him the first time. It was really silly of me to get rid of my Arachnoid alien, and I still remember the day that it happened too. I was going through a whole bunch of totes of different figures that I have, and I have designated totes marked off as NECA. I opened up the totes and I had made myself 3 piles in front of me. One pile was for figures I knew I wanted to keep. One pile in front of me was figures I wanted to sell or get rid of. And then there was a pile in the middle of those two of figures I was unsure of whether I wanted to keep or get rid of. Well, it so happened that Arachnoid alien, Razor Claws alien, and Chrysalis alien all made that middle pile. Even though I really like the design of these characters, I'm a big backer when NECA does different designs outside the realm of the movie Xenomorphs. I like the big chaps and the alien warriors like the next guy, but I'm a big fan of when they do like the Kenner-inspired stuff, or like outside the box thinking when it comes to new designed aliens. I really like the different color schemes and different design elements. So really like Arachnoid alien, Razor Claws alien, and Chrysalis check off all of those boxes. But then I said to myself, the likelihood of me ever putting these on display, being that they've been sitting in totes all this time already, maybe it's time I got rid of them. Well, I got rid of them, and then I regretted it after the fact, especially Arachnoid. He's my favorite of the 3 aliens, at least re-released here from NECA. You know, one good thing, speaking of re-releasing, that NECA's really good for doing, is that they re-release their figures a lot of the times. So even if you did sell your figures, or in this case, maybe you never even had these figures in your collection the first time, NECA's pretty good when it comes to re-releasing these, either online or in retail stores, and in a lot of cases, they re-release them with a brand new color scheme. In between, though, the takes at the end of the review and final looks here on the rotisserie, I went back and just double-checked what that original Arachnoid alien looked like. It's a great design, but yeah, pretty bland on colors. It was all kind of basically blue. And even like the back half dome that looks like the abdomen of an insect was kind of all kind of the same coloring as the rest of its face. Like this one has so much darker contrast, the more shinier, darker blue that they went with, not to mention the nice dark wash that they've added to the body. It really does enhance the design of the character I already really liked. So maybe it wasn't a bad idea at all that I got rid of those original figures. It sort of sucks that I couldn't use it as a comparison in this review, but at least NECA did re-release these figures with what I believe to be a much better paint job, if you ask me. Also, here in final looks, you can also see as well that I've got the figure on all fours, something that you can also do as well. When it comes to kind of the more animalistic aliens, sometimes you can also put them in all 4 poses. Like I like to put like this one in all 4s or on all 4s. I might even try to do that with the Razor Claw alien or the Chrysalis alien. But I think when it comes to displaying now, which I will be doing now moving forward, when I do decide to display Arachnoid alien, instead of actually having him in a crouching standing pose, I'm probably more leaning to the idea of having him on all 4s, similar to like the Rhino alien, which was another great figure released by NECA Toys. A big thank you, though, to the folks over at NECA. First of all, for sending this my way, but second of all, for re-releasing figures I totally regretted getting rid of the first time around. Have you guys ever gotten rid of a figure? Here's a good viewer question for you guys. Have you ever gotten rid of a figure and then regretted it afterwards? Let me know down below in the comment section. And make sure if you are new to this channel that you're hitting that subscribe button down below. Make sure as well you turn on the bell notification so you get that friendly reminder. And making sure that you're coming back to this channel because, again, even though we have wrapped up things on the rotisserie for Arachnoid, the reviews of Razor Claw's alien and Chrysalis alien is right around the corner. Are right around the corner is coming right around the corner. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.